Hello, Mordarim here. Today with a review for Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. I will go straight to the verdict, so you guys can immediately start your downloads for this absolutely amazing masterpiece of a game. It's just that good. But some of you are a bit harder to convince, so I'm obliged to give you a more in-depth look into the systems and content the game has to offer. I will keep spoilers to a bare minimum and split the video into two main sections. One covering the gameplay basics, which means combat and progression, and the other will cover the world and exploration. First, I will give you a short overview on what awaits you in this marvelous journey. The best description I can give you is Witcher 3 meets God of War. And they create a love child with a very unique lore in regards to the Banishers, a type of inquisitor tasked with expunging ghosts and demons to their intended plane of existence. Side quests and tasks in this game are designed as investigations into hauntings and their aftermath. And the combat clearly takes from God of War in terms of weight and satisfaction when pressing buttons to banish evil. We are looking at a great setting around the time of 1695 or the colonization of America. Overall, an amazing package which I devoured for 50 hours straight, going for multiple playthroughs and a possible 100% completion run, which I'm very close to acquiring at the time of making this video. Now, with an overview given, I will go more in-depth into the combat and progression Banisher has to offer. You progress this game through multiple ways. First, you have your regular levels, which give you red skill points. Those can be spent on unlocking new moves and improvements to the skill set of Red, the living Banisher. XP is acquired through combat, quests and exploration. Next are the teal skill points, which can be acquired through haunting side quests. Solving those will reward you with one each, making it possible to improve the abilities and skills of Antea, the dead Banisher, which you also play. You can change between the two with the press of a button, making it possible to combo attacks between them and adapt to different enemies on the fly. Spending the acquired points is easily done in one of 5 ability-centric skill webs. Those are unlocked gradually through your playthrough at the end of a region-specific main quest, which, as mentioned before, also unlock new abilities for Antea. Those are in order of acquisition and availability. You start with a leap combat ability, an AoE outburst combat ability, a ranged and snare projectile CC ability, and an ultimate ability which is the equivalent of Spartan Rage in God of War. This is further combined with a multi-stage light attack and heavy attack for Red and punch attacks for Antea. Both also gain access to dodge and dodge attacks, running attacks, block, parry, as well as switch attacks, combo extensions, and much more. But there is even more than this. The gear plays a vital role in making your build function. It's not just here to provide you with stats that dictate which character you want to focus on, but they also provide you with passive perks that alter your playstyle or enhance the chosen playstyle. Making a build for a character in this game felt very good. It's just immensely satisfying to go from double-digit damage to nearly 1000 with a single charge attack, making use of all the abilities and moves you have to overcome challenging encounters. Knowing you can work around the wombo combo to delete foes is just peak combat. It never felt boring. Banishers introduces new enemy types constantly throughout the whole game, mixing them in with existing foes, forcing you to adapt to the environments you're currently in. Ranged enemies also never felt annoying. Those are placed on rocks and elevated locations, but are easily disposed of with a single ranged attack. You have very generous aim assist, even, I would say, aim lock on the controller. I loved going from location to location, exploring new potential arenas to sink my blades into. However, there is something that might annoy some of you. There are challenges for specific types of content. Some encounters tied to points of interest demand of you to use only charge attacks or only dodge attacks for damage. You can use other moves, but those are severely diminished in effectiveness, making them nearly useless. This can lead to frustration since you tailored your build to a specific ability or move. Now, you can work around this by respeccing at no cost, but your equipment and skill is something that is not easily changed. One has to be upgraded and the other has to be acquired. This can take quite some time depending on the difficulty setting. Speaking of which, you can freely change the difficulty. The story difficulty makes you nearly invincible and lets your damage scale with the enemy level. You also acquire more resources and can basically ignore equipment upgrades. I personally played on the hard difficulty on my first full playthrough and did experience some challenge, which is quite something. I usually am quite decent at games, but died a few times through my run. Enemies hit very hard and some of them require you to plan around their moveset. You have to memorize certain attack patterns from dangerous foes to dance with them in combat, avoiding getting hit. Very hard is taking this to another level. It's extremely punishing. I would recommend hard and very hard only for people that like Souls-like style punishment. Now there is one more thing I want to mention. The game offers you infinite progression in form of repeatable mini-bosses, enemy rushes and special void dungeons. Completing one rewards you with a rare upgrade material and permanent stat boost at the cost of an ever by increasing difficulty. I'm not sure what the cap here is, but 12 was nodded. Those encounters use the challenge system I mentioned before, making you adapt your build the higher you go. Next, let's go over the world and exploration. The first thing you should know is the world is partially open world. Not a sandbox open world like Breath of the Wild, but open world in the sense of Witcher 3. You can explore a ton of side content which is completely optional in form of points of interest, hidden minor stashes, collectible nodes, treasure hunts and side quests. And by a ton, I mean a ton. I did multiple playthroughs of the game to experience multiple endings and sides of the story. My first run focused on 100% map completion and took me around 50 hours. Rushing just the story with no deviation takes around 10 with all dialogue and 4 with skip dialogue, which is just great for speedruns. It's a fun run for those that are interested. There's lots of potential here. However, most of you will probably want to experience the game in its full, so what does it feel like walking through it? It's amazing. They nailed the scope of the world, making distances between settlements matter. You also have some kind of fast travel, but you need to get to a campfire. It truly felt like I was traveling dangerous wilds, with little hope for the settlers. As for the regions, they ranged from an eerie dense forest to a sprawling field of wheat, however a bit haunted. All in all, you have 4 big zones to explore, one of which is considerably smaller than the other 3. They're well designed with PoEs and quests bringing everything to life, but you also have minor, non-marked camps, huts and mines scattered throughout the zones, which can also be explored for rewards. The rewards for those are exclusive to upgrade materials. Gear and equipment can only be found in marked chests, gained from defeating main story bosses and sometimes from quest rewards. They are all static. This is also true for collectible nodes, which are not marked on the map. You have to keep your eyes peeled for those if you want the 100% achievement. Now, what about the side quests? All start with a haunting. You investigate it and decide the fate of the ghost and human involved. Your decision directly influences the world around you. Blaming people will make them disappear and hinder the progress of settlements, while ascending them can lead to some serious trouble depending on if the individual is a criminal or dangerous. Not all is good and evil. Quests are written with optional notes that you can find that give you more insight into the thoughts of the characters. This in turn makes you think and lets you better decide on what to possibly do. Your decision is very important, which brings me to the aftermath. Each haunting has multiple possible follow-up quests which depend on how you decide. Yes, blaming, ascending and possibly banishing all have different outcomes for the follow-up quest. If you want the full picture, you will have to play the game multiple times here, or just do all hauntings to the end decision, but don't do the end decision. Then complete all haunting quests and see the outcomes for yourself. Next up is the level design. Everything is handcrafted. Each region has their own special ability or mechanic introduced into the mix. This is very similar to how God of War does things. The influence of that game is very apparent in this part of the game's design, offering relatively intricate puzzles that not only need a brain to solve, but also demand of you reflexes and skill depending on the difficulty of the game. Yes, this means the increased difficulty slider not only influences the combat difficulty, but also influences how hard specific puzzles are. Some puzzles have very tight time windows if you choose the very hard difficulty. The difference is very significant here. Luckily, you can switch difficulties mid-run without repercussions. There is no achievement for finishing the game on very hard, so you can switch between those however you like. This brings me to mastery POIs, which are marked with a yellow question mark on the map. Those can be special puzzle-centric POEs specifically designed for treasure hunting and puzzle solving. A great addition to spice things up, however there's only a few in the game. The mastery of a certain skill comes into play here. Lastly, I want to briefly talk about the story without spoiling anything in particular important. It's just one of my most favorite tales of all time. Sometimes you just resonate with what is happening on screen and think to yourself, man, I would be devastated if this happened to me. This game delivers just that. The characters are written in such a way that you get to know them very well by the end of the game. You care for them like for a good friend. I finished the game one time and immediately started my second run, just to break down completely. The loss I felt after finishing the game one time crushed me and made me unable to play the game for a good 24 hours before I picked it up again, determined to finish it with the other run. I wanted to see the other side of the coin, just to discover it's not just a coin, it's a damn polygon with multiple sides. The foreshadowing in this game is well done. You immediately start to question all you have experienced. All the dialogue, all the actions of each character, all the conclusions help you understand. For this I bow my head to the writers of this marvelous tale. It's simply a 10 out of 10 for me, without a doubt. It's just a masterpiece in storytelling. Now with this I am at the end of my review. I really hope you liked this one, so if you did, please leave a like. Comment if you have any questions or remarks, and subscribe if you have not already. You can also join my channel membership or my Patreon to support me some more. I'll further cover the game with guides, so stay tuned. So see you next time and bye.